So we're starting a brand new unit on circles. So circles are a little bit different from polygons because they're actually not polygons. So if you remember correctly, a polygon is a shape or a figure that has 3 or more straight sides and it's a closed figure. So a circle is not considered a polygon because it really has no sides and it's a rounded figure. So there's 2 measurements we can use circles for, which is the circumference and the area. So circumference and area both require 2 main measurements that are used to calculate them. So they are called the diameter and the radius. The circumference is of a circle is the distance around the circle. So it's kind of like the same exact thing as perimeter when you find the distance around a shape. The only reason why we call it circumference is because a circle is not a polygon, so they decided to give it a different name for it. To find the circumference of a circle, you need to understand what the 2 measurements of a circle are. So if you look at your paper, the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to any point on the circumference. So remember, the circumference is the distance around the circle, so that's this part in black. And the radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. It has to be a straight line. So from the center to any point on the circle. Okay? The diameter is the distance from one point on the circle directly through the center all the way to the other side. Also has to be a straight line. So I remember diameter because diameter and distance both begin with the letter D. So I just remember diameter, total distance. So from one end of the circle, straight through the middle, all the way to the other side. Radius is only from the center to one side. So therefore, the radius is half of the diameter. So if the diameter goes all the way across and the radius only goes halfway, then the radius is half of the diameter. Therefore, it would take how many radiuses to make one diameter? What do you think? How many of these would fit into the total distance? That would be 2. So therefore, it takes 2 radiuses to make one diameter. Pi is a number that's discovered by Archimedes. That's a name of a Greek mathematician, and there's kind of a cool story that goes along with that. So hopefully I'll have time to tell you guys tomorrow. So basically for now, all you need to know though is that pi is a number, not what you eat. It is that too, but pi, just a number, discovered by Archimedes. He was a Greek mathematician, and it is equal to the circumference, so that distance around the circle, divided by the diameter. So basically what he discovered is that if you measure the distance around a circle, which is called the circumference, and then you take that answer and you divide it by the diameter, which you measure by measuring across the circle through the center, if you divide those 2 numbers, you always get 3.14. It's kind of cool. It doesn't matter how big or how small the circle is, you always get that number. It's kind of like a natural phenomenon. That number actually goes on forever. It never repeats and it never ends, but we just round it to 3.14 to make life easier. No one has ever found the end of that number, although people are trying. So to find the circumference of a circle, so to find the distance around a circle, you multiply the diameter. So remember, that's the line that goes all the way across the circle by pi, which is 3.14. So in order to do this, you have to be given the diameter or given the radius. So that makes life a little bit easier. You're not just like have to do all math to figure this out. These numbers have to be given to you. So I'm going to try one and I want you guys to actually do this with me. So first of all, I'm going to draw a line all the way across the circle. Well, that was pretty bad. Through the center. And I'm going to pretend that it is 16 meters long. So we're pretending this is kind of a rather big circle. So first of all, think of what line I just drew, whether that's the diameter or the radius. And since it's the total distance, it's the diameter. So the formula is you multiply whatever the diameter of the circle is by pi. So pi again is 3.14. So I'm just going to multiply 3.14 times 16. And whatever you get, that is the distance around the circle, the circumference. So it's really easy formula. Take the number going all the way through the circle, the diameter, and multiply it by pi, which is 3.14. So when I do this, I get 6 times 4 is 24, carry the 2, 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8, 6 times 3 is 18. Start my next row with a 0. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 3 is 3. Add my 2 rows together, I get, I'm going to write it over here because I'm running out of room. So 4 12, carry the 1, 8 plus 2 is 10, carry the 1, 3 plus 1 is 5. And then if you remember multiplying by decimals, there's 2 numbers to the right of the decimal, so you need 2 numbers to the right in your answer. Okay, so 50.24 meters. So no squaring or anything, this is an area, it's the distance around the circle, which is called the circumference. So pretty much the same thing as the perimeter, only it's a little bit harder to get because it's a circle instead of a polygon. Okay, now I'm going to try this one, do this one with me too. Now I'm drawing a line just from the center to any point on the circle. So what is that called? Hopefully you remember, that's the radius. And let's pretend that it's 4 meters long. So we have a radius of 4. So the formula is diameter times pi. So if the radius is given, you quickly just double it to get the diameter. So since the radius is 4, the diameter would be 8. So you just double it. So now I have the diameter is 8. So it's diameter times pi. So 3.14 is pi times the diameter, which is now 8. Multiply like normal. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. We have 2 numbers to the right of our decimals, so we need 2 numbers to the right in our answer. So 25.12 meters. So again, the answers we just got are the distance around the circle. So like here, going around the circle, and that's called the circumference instead of the perimeter. Okay, so we're going to pause, and I'm going to have you watch the next video and try some examples.